Welcome back everyone, Ryan Monetize here, and in today's video we're going over the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum. In my previous video that I did on October 6th, I mentioned that I was anticipating a pullback in I think I said 5 to 7 days. So this is what's really interesting is that, but in my previous video, before that, I mentioned that I thought that Bitcoin is going to outperform Ethereum in the month of October. This is a Bitcoin chart, daily chart, insane strength, a lot of strength here on the Bitcoin daily chart. Let's go ahead and put Ethereum and Bitcoin side by side on the daily chart. And you can see here just how much more strength Bitcoin is having here on the daily chart compared to Ethereum. So I also mentioned that this point right here is going to have resistance at 57,000, just about 57,000. We are seeing resistance at that level. It might take a little bit for a breakthrough, or we might see a little bit of a pullback, maybe like a 7 to 10% pullback. But Ethereum actually did pull back on the timing that I had mentioned. So a lot more strength on Bitcoin than we're seeing on Ethereum, which is very much so anticipated. I was looking for Ethereum to make a higher high on the daily chart. The high of this candle is 36.70. The high of this candle right here is what you needed to go above 36.75, a $5 difference, which also has a potential to be considered a double top, which is typically bearish. I mentioned a lot about these two moving averages that I use. If you want to sign up for TradingView, I have a link down below. So this one right here is a 12 EMA. So the red is a 12 and the green is a 5 EMA. Frequently, when there's pullbacks, that is where there's a good buying opportunity. So to be honest with you, I'm keeping a close eye because I do think that Bitcoin is going to eventually pull back. I'm going to keep a close eye to this 12 EMA and where it lines up. So having buy orders like in this range, and you might want to change those buy orders as time passes and the 12 EMA continues to move up. So that is something to consider there. I'm going to change this back to a full chart, and we're going to kind of go over Bitcoin and Ethereum at different level time frames. So the daily chart is looking really strong. Bold move here as this green 2 starts trading above the green 1. Frequently, so I have these numbers above each of these candles. So that is the TD sequential system. It's a free indicator on TradingView. So the way TradingView works is that you get with the free account, you get a certain amount of indicators. And if you want to add more indicators to your chart, then you can pay monthly for it. Like that's what I particularly use. It's probably not worth it for majority of people, but just so you guys know. And like I said, I have a link down below if you want to check that out. But what TD sequential is typically what you'll see is momentum in 9 candles. And then it's usually like 9 candles up, a 1 to 4 candle pullback, and then like another 9 candles up. But that's not always the case, right? Because you can see here that it's like 5 here and then 7 here. It's not always accurate. But I start to get a little bit, not nervous, I would just say aware when there is a 9 green candle incoming, because there's typically a pullback after that. But that's not what we're seeing here. We're seeing a lot of strength out of that. And then we're seeing some resistance here. But eventually, right, we're going to see little pullbacks along the way. So those are good buying opportunities. But at the same time, we're at the point where the pullbacks might not be that much and we might just be going up exponential. One thing to always consider, one big sign that the top is in for like the market cycle, right? Like Bitcoin hits a top, and it's probably going to be in a bear market for 3 or 4 years. There is a ton of volatility at the top. Okay, and what I actually want to do is I want to show you an example of this. Just so you understand what I mean, because this is a really important skill to have when it comes to markets in general. It's also really important to experience an entire market cycle and be personally invested. For example, the best life lesson I had was in my early 20s, seeing my Bitcoin portfolio go out of control up, and then also out of control down and come down like 80-90%. One of the best life lessons I have had. So let me just kind of show you here. This is 2017. This is when Bitcoin was headed up towards $20,000, okay? Check out here, the week of December 3rd, the low of this candle, $8,719. The high of this candle, $19,697, okay? The volatility in that candle was a huge sign that the top was in. So that's what I'm looking for to kind of have an idea that the top is in. I am looking for a parabolic move. Something to be aware of. Lots of volatility at the top usually. And that is one reason why I did not believe that 64,000, and I still don't believe, but I could always be wrong. I didn't believe that this right here was the top of this market cycle. There's not nearly as much volatility. Like for example, the low of this candle, 56,000, the high, 65,000, okay? Still a lot of volatility for 1 week, right? That is almost a $10,000 fluctuation. But when you look at it from a percentage perspective, the other one was like double, right? A bottom of 8 and a top of 20 versus a bottom of 56 and a top of 65. Obviously, you know, you're still making a ton of money in that scenario, but it's not that super volatile parabolic move that I'm looking for as a signal that the top is in. Okay, let's look at the 12-hour chart here on Bitcoin. It actually looks like there's a bit more strength. I would anticipate Bitcoin to kind of linger in this range and try to break through that line that I have drawn there of about 57,500 and a bit of a pullback. Okay, so it's seeing resistance here. I think it's gonna see resistance here for potentially a few more days or start pulling back. This is a 4-hour chart. There is strength in all of these time frames, but I am definitely being cautious there. And for example, let's look at this current weekly chart, which is also looking really, really strong. Okay, so the low of this candle, 47, and the high, 57. So we have seen on this weekly candle already a $10,000 spread on the price of Bitcoin. We're going to start seeing days where Bitcoin goes up $10,000 in a single day. We've actually, I think, gotten really close, but it's definitely going to happen. I mentioned in some of my previous videos this 5 and 12 EMA. When it crosses over, when the green crosses over on the 7-day, on the weekly chart, it is typically time to get in. And on the vice versa side of it too, when it crosses below, it's time to get out. You're not catching the bottom, you're not catching the top, but it's a pretty strong indicator and something where you don't have to necessarily be dedicated to the charts every single day to just like do these really long-term swing positions. So something I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Let's look at the 1-hour chart on Bitcoin. 1-hour chart, like look at this price action at this line over here. Do you see the amount of resistance that is happening at it? So maybe a little bit of a pullback. It's going to take Bitcoin, I think, some time to break through it. I wasn't anticipating it to just crush right through it, and that's not what's going to happen. I think that when we start going above the previous all-time high of about $65,000, once we break that previous all-time high, I think it's going to get a little bit crazy in a good way. We're going to start making a lot of money. I mean, we already are making a lot of money, right? But it's going to be like exponential. You want to also take into consideration your emotions and all of this. Like if this is your first market cycle and you start feeling like the price is never going to come down and you kind of feel invincible and you feel a lot of euphoria, take that into consideration of like, okay, maybe it's a possibility that the high or the top is in. Like for example, it felt like I was winning the lottery like every single day for like a few days leading up to the top of the market of 2017 when Bitcoin hit $20,000. It literally felt like I was winning small lotteries every single day. So those are just some things that I experienced towards the top, and it's sometimes really, really hard to see perspective on the situation because you're excited and you're making money, and hopefully if you've also told your friends to buy Bitcoin, they're making money, so you're just like all pumped because you're all making a ton of money by doing no work, right? Just by holding an asset. Best thing ever. Best thing ever. And so when you feel like, oh my gosh, feels like I'm winning the lottery every single day, this is like too good to be true. I'm rich, like those thoughts, you know, it could easily be like an emotional reminder that, okay, rethink what's happening. Bitcoin has actually dropped like $400 or $500 since I started this video. So we're seeing a little bit of weakness here. But I am going to go ahead and go to different level time frames on the Ethereum chart. This right here is a weekly chart. Would like to see next week a green 2 trading above a green 1. Not a ton of like information there. This is the daily chart. We've seen 2 candles of pullback. this red 2 trading below this red 1 isn't necessarily the most bullish sign. We're seeing more weakness. Another thing that I wanted to mention to you is that basically Bitcoin topped, I think, on December 17th of 2017, but Ethereum and many of the altcoins, I don't think they topped until January 8th. So what kind of happens is Bitcoin hits this top, and then people will start selling off their Bitcoin, and then they funnel that money into altcoins, and then those take off as well, and there's a lot of gains to be made there. So I would say the second level, the more challenging side is, I mean, people that really got it down, they know when to like go heavy on Bitcoin and when to go heavy on altcoins. Because although most of the time they're correlating, it's not always the case. But that is a trickier thing to figure out in the whole crypto and trading space. I haven't really bought anything lately. I've just been kind of sitting on the sidelines patient. I'm almost like fully invested with all the money that I want in crypto right now. So this is a 4-hour chart on Ethereum, and it does not look good at all. I think we're going to continue to see more weakness. This is actually the most uncorrelated that I have seen a Bitcoin and Ethereum in a while. I think we were having signs of less and less correlation, but we are getting more and more, well, did I say that correctly? We're just seeing less correlation overall. And it's kind of been a while for those two assets. So just want to leave you with that. I hope you found this video helpful. If you want to support my channel in any way, I have lots of links down below. For example, another thing you want to keep in mind is that if you do want to sell, you have plans to sell anytime soon, have at least 2 exchanges. I have my Coinbase, I have Gemini, I have Kraken. I highly recommend Gemini. You can use my link down below. Once you spend $100, we both get $10 of free Bitcoin. One way to support my channel, because if you're trying to sell towards the top, a lot of exchanges are going to run into volume issues when it comes to them not being able to keep up. And it's kind of nice to have 2. Oftentimes they kind of all go down at the same time, but it's kind of nice to have your assets split of something that you want to sell. So keep that in mind. So yeah, hope you found this video helpful, valuable. Share it with a friend. Keep stacking sats. Another great way to get free Satoshis is by downloading the Fold app. You get to spin the wheel every day. Sometimes they give you nothing. Sometimes they give you 5 or 10 Satoshis, or sometimes a lot more than that. But let me tell you what, just stack them. They'll be worth 10x, 20x, 30x in the future. So all that I have for you today is always go out there and create a portfolio that you love.